Welcome to Owners Anonymous, and today we have a very special guest, my friend Mari de Monte, sometimes called Mari de Monte.
Maria.
All the way from New York City, and she's joining us here, and we're going to do a little Q&A with you, just to kind of hear about you. We don't go into too many origin stories, but I just want to hear about your business journey currently.
Oh, wow. The lore is deep. I started at 19 in New York City. Only done men's hair, and I did the renting a studio by myself. I've done working in like a shop and having bosses and being commissioned, and I wanted to create something that was a little bit unique in New York City, where it was a little bit of both, a little more freedom for the artist to like pick and choose their own schedules, but still making decent money on commission and salary. So Low Year started not even 2 years ago. Middle class, my dad's a mechanic, my mom's an art teacher. I don't really come from a lot of money. So when we first opened the original location, it was a big community project, raising a lot of money through lenders. We started a small business, what's the term? When you're like get married or you have a kid, like when they send you gifts for weddings and if you're about to baby.
Oh, like a registry.
Registry. So we started a small business registry.
Wow.
Where people could buy towels or barbicide or all those small things that a small business
You told me this because you guys had planned on not doing other things in life, so that's
right.
pretty
We
cool.
had planned on not having children, and this actually was going to be the baby. So we reached out to the community, the barber community, and social media, having this small business registry, and really like climbed our way up to day one. During the time that we were doing construction and building out the space, my now husband was battling with cancer, and so we were really kind of like going for it. If we were going to go for it, like, no, we can't do it small. Let's go big. So he's totally fine now. He's totally,
I was just about to ask,
he's totally fine. He's very healthy. He just has like a scar, which is very annoying. But and within less of a year of us opening, we got a notice from our landlord saying that they rezoned our unit and that they were canceling our lease.
And that's when I was with you in New York.
And you were probably the last person to kind of be in that space before we had to get up and move.
Wow.
So then we had to do it all over again. Luckily though, because we really did do it on such a low budget, but really high quality as far as customer service, we have an incredible staff and an incredible clientele that followed us to a new location. And we were able at that point to get like an actual loan.
Right.
To do the build out all over again, less than a year in.
It's funny because I know two of your team members. Josh was been in my classes.
Yeah.
Ian's been in my classes, and I met both of them in New York, educating. Now, from what I know about New York, it's very challenging. And I know sometimes people are out there talking about like, charging $100 for a haircut. And, there's certain areas in the United States that I know that it doesn't make sense, but in your area, from what I've understood, and when I travel, even when I traveled to you last year, I like to look at real estate. I like to look at what's happening in, commercial real estate, as well as what is just going on in general. Yeah. And I'm always impressed because your haircut price is, to most people, almost unattainable. But to you in a New York market seems normal to me actually now, especially because I follow your barbers and I know what they're charging, and I think they're all actually underpriced currently right now. And you built such a following. And I always like the story, which I was going to ask you about, that original guy that you worked for.
Oh, Marcial, yeah.
Yeah, Marcial. And I always try to tell people, because I know that you came from a really strict background of training, which I did as well. But I always find it crazy. And I tell people all over the place I go, especially when I was in Chicago last weekend, I was like, I know someone who's charging $255 USD for a haircut and is getting booked and is literally can't take any more clients because there's a market for it. So when did you feel comfortable getting to that price point, and how, like, just explain that journey? Because I feel like a lot of people, and I'm sure people are like, well, I would never pay that, but I'm like, but in New York City, that's kind of like reasonable,
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm never really totally comfortable with the price point. I actually think it's really interesting that so much of my career, which I didn't plan on this being the subject so much, but price point was a major part of the subject whenever I kind of came into the barber world. And I was always really kind of like confused a little bit by that. When I first started, it was a very high-end men's salon. This is 2008. I moved to New York in 2005, worked with this man, Marcial, was his assistant for 4 years. I don't think that culture exists as much anymore in the barber community.
No.
So keeping in mind that not only did I go to cosmetology school, I then was an assistant, then got my barbering license through an assistant program. When I first got on the floor with this very high-end person, my beginning rate, 2010 maybe, was 125.
Wow.
So if you really consider how long I've been doing this, 250 now isn't really that crazy of a bump.
If you're giving yourself reasonable raises.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times, especially when I'm doing education, so much is really focused on price point. More people are more interested in the business side of that than actually the skill set of cutting hair at this point.
Sure.
And I always tell people that 25% of your service, if you look at it as a large sum, 25% of that is your skill.
Yeah.
So much more. What is the rest of the pie? What's the ambience like? What's the hospitality like? What's the customer service like? What does it smell like? If you close your eyes, what does a $250 service look like to you, right? And a lot of that...
Well, I've seen it.
Yeah.
And I like that you had the records. I like you have the whiskey.
Yeah.
Like, it's definitely a vibe. I mean, I haven't been to the new location. I hope I can come.
Yeah.
But like, obviously, it was pretty sick walking into that space. And it was even hard for me to get upstairs. And I was like thinking to myself, I'm like, and I've always been taught like, oh, you can never have a business that's not ground level. But then you kind of proved to me that that's not the case.
Right.
I actually felt like an exclusive club vibe when I came to your spot. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. You can put on your own record. You can make yourself a drink. And if you promote yourself well and you obviously build a following, it can be done. So I have a completely different mindset now after being in your space.
Right. And I do agree. I honestly truly feel that 90% of the people who do what we do, and to the passion that the amount that they do it, we're not charging enough.
Right.
And I get really frustrated sometimes because there is this hard conversation with barbers who just get botched down. And it's almost like this weird, because they can't, they're mad at anyone else that can. And I'm not the greatest hairstylist in my shop. I will be the first to say that if
I think you're pretty good.
I'm all right. I'm all right. But at this point, especially at 250, people are really paying for it to be dead ass. Like, they're paying because I'm the owner. They're paying because it's me. They're paying because I have a presence online. They're paying, they're doing the brand. They're paying for the brand. If they truly wanted something that wowed them, I would actually recommend that they go to Ian, to Josh Ryan, to Josh, to Andrew, to Jello, to the rest of my staff.
And you have a good, like, I mean, obviously I've trained some of them, and not taking all the credit, but they're good.
They are really
They're really good.
They're really good. And I'm so proud of them for that, because they not only are they good, but they actually give a shit. And that is, how do you put a price point on it?
Josh Ryan is my go-to New York guy.
When I'm in New York,
I'm like, what's going on? Are we hanging out? And like, he always takes even our boys when they go, and they were there last time, took them for dinner.
And honestly, he's actually a perfect example of this. So Josh Ryan actually used to work at Marcial's as an assistant.
I know that.
And then it didn't work out because, weirdly, they didn't give him enough to do.
Right.
They kind of were keeping him in this kind of oppressed assistant program where he kind of suffocated a little bit, and having him in low
He's also a worker, though.
He's a workhorse. He's one of the hardest workers I've ever met.
Yeah.
And
he also gets it.
Right. And so him understanding my background and then him coming into the shop, it was a perfect marriage. And he hasn't even been there 2 years. He's been promoted in management because of your help.
Thank you.
And so now, not only is he making 50 to 60% of commission of the $145 now he charges for a haircut.
Wow, good for him.
Because he got a raise and he has a salary on top of that, because he steps up to that level and he needed more responsibility for him to really blossom. He's a real superstar. And I feel like
I love him.
That mentality of a traditional barber shop, I don't think he would thrive there. I think he needs to do more. He's so committed to that customer service base.
I also found with someone like him, he came in with, and because he's on his second career, his maturity level is high.
Yeah.
Even when I'm around him, sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm the immature one.
Yeah.
But, I actually, when I spent time with you last summer, and I was kind of saying to him, I'm like, man, I feel like you'd be good for this job, because he's kind of no fluff. He really cares about his job. And that's what I find with a lot of people on their second career, is they really take haircutting seriously, because they have to do it.
Yep.
It has to be successful for them at that point. And if it's not, it's like, well, I don't want to go into my third career.
Yeah.
So I think he's like kind of set into that position really well. Now, I wanted to ask you this as well. you're in a generally male-dominated portion of an industry. And I mean this when I ask you this. How does it feel to be not only like a female educator, but a female boss, and you're the only female in your shop at this point?
Yeah, honestly, I'm not really even sure. I don't really even know. It's an everyday. I feel like I do sometimes feel like Wendy in the Sea of Lost Boys, where I'm just trying to kind of keep everyone together. I also am very committed to the type of people that come into our space.
Sure.
Right. So if I'm not feeling safe, or if I hire someone and they have a certain type of clientele that come in and they disrespect the space and they disrespect me, that's not going to work. That's not, and whoever works for me automatically knows, just based on who I am, a woman in the industry, that there's already a tier that's higher, that I expect more. I expect more hospitality. I expect more respect.
Sure.
I can still have fun just like everyone else, but there is the boundary is much more clear, I think, than if it was a completely all men's shop, especially being a female owner.
Do you want to hear something funny?
Yeah.
I'm literally training people on my business owners program because I go into their shops or I'm talking to them and I ask them, like, do you have any females on your team? And they'll be like, no. And I'm like, cool. Well, when I put females on my own team, I watched the standard of the shop change drastically. Okay. Which was like, they were coming in and like cleaning more.
Right.
They were watching their language.
Right.
Like, all of a sudden I felt like the level of professionalism with having females in the barbershop changed. And I know there was some stigma around that being like, oh, the barbershop is for the manosphere. And I was like, no, we're not going to do that. Well, I think it's important, you know?
And also, how many straight male stylists are there that just do women's hair? You know what I mean? So I want to see more female owners out there. I see a lot of female barbers. I want to see more owners.
We actually have one who started a Glassbox this year.
That's amazing.
She bought in and she owns one of our locations.
Because I really believe that everyone is just that 5% a little bit more sharpened. You know what I mean? And I have very high expectations.
Sure.
The hardest part for me is the mom aspect, because I do have a lot of artists that are younger than me by about 2 decades. So it is hard sometimes to, when you feel like you have
you're only 31.
Bro, I wish. Bro. 40. I'm 40.
Are you 86?
85.
Okay, so I'm turning 40 this year. It's okay, we're good.
We're all right. We're all right.
Good.
But, you know, I think it's, when I'm also hiring someone, I can immediately tell what sort of standards and how mature they are based on.
What's your vetting process now for hiring?
Well, now it's a lot stricter. It used to be when I first opened, I've never done anything like this before. I've never owned anything before. I've only just ran my own little thing. So this was all, I have a high school degree. That's it. So.
High five.
Yeah.
It's right? High school.
I was like, look at me now, Mom.
Yeah.
So before it was based on vibes. I was like, so Josh Ryan, I don't even think I had an interview with him. I think we were like talking a little bit back and forth on Instagram, and he
messaged me and I was like, go for, this is the spot to go.
Right. Now,
not that I negotiated for him, but I kind of coached him a little bit. I was like, yeah, I think you should go.
Weirdly enough, you're kind of been our Jiminy Cricket since day one.
Thanks,
You've
man.
been like this little kind of Canadian, like, oh, you should like find Josh Ryan, like my little conscious, like, you know, sort of thing. And then even coming in and helping out when you taught that class in our shop.
Yeah.
And I was so honored that we could host, but I was also so enlightened when I met you and then went in and like listened to this amazing class and like, the people around it. That class truly was a game changer, and it was not only was it a game changer by the information, but because it was in my space, I could visualize it so much more.
Yeah.
But what was the question? I forgot what you asked.
Well, we were just talking about like your journey, obviously, as a female boss, female owner. And like, obviously I said your vetting process is now,
vetting process.
like where you started. And that's my thing is like, I always tell people now, like the way I hired people before, I'm not going to say it was out of desperation, but barbers were showing up and I was like, oh, like you can cut hair. That's great. And then all of a sudden you're putting someone on the floor and I'm like, you're a good barber, but I'm not saying you're not a good person, but like, it's not working.
The best thing.
And then you're afraid to fire people.
100%.
And then that creates this melting pot of like, oh shit, this isn't working.
I am the biggest pushover. I am the biggest, like, I hate upsetting people. I'm very like, I steer away from conflict. And the best thing that's ever happened to me as a business owner is disappointment. Hiring people and they disappoint you, or hiring them and then they leave on their own and you're like gobsmacked, or hiring someone with like so much potential and they just could not meet my standards. And it was either I keep trying with this person who is not showing up, even though I know that their haircuts are great and they're going to go off and do great things and I wish it could work, or I have a mutiny on my hands because the rest of my staff is resentful of this person.
Right.
And it really made me put on my big girl pants, which was like a very hard thing for me to do. It still is a very hard thing for me to do. So now vetting, it's very, very slow hire, very quick fire.
Yeah, that's literally became one of our slogans. I hate to say this, I am now telling people when they interview with me, I'm difficult to work for. Because I'd rather just be totally transparent. I'm like, listen, like the expectations that I have in terms of like work ethic, and I'm not trying to work them to the bone. They have work-life balance. I still have work-life integration, right? But I say, I'm like, listen, like this is what we expect. Haircutting to me is so secondary at this point because I know if we're with the right people, if you're with a Josh Ryan or an Ian's a great example. That guy's been to every class. He's a great little hair cutter. You know, you could learn a lot from Ian. Do you know what I mean? I feel like once you put people in the right shop, the right environment, they build the skills by watching monkey see, monkey do. But monkey see, monkey do also applies if other people are not doing things.
100%.
And that's when I started to realize, like, hey, well, we can't have that style of the shop anymore because, again, like we talked today, like for me, it's experience.
Yeah.
Experience first, technical skill secondary. So that's why I kind of wanted to ask you about your vetting. Now,
And I also believe that like if you're going to do one thing one way, you have to do everything that way. So if your haircuts are going to be immaculate, $150, $200, then you have to do everything like that. You have to set your station up like that. You have to talk to clients like that. You have to talk to me like that. You have to fold towels like someone who is 150, 200 plus. You do one thing one way, you have to do everything like that.
Let me ask you this now.
Okay.
What has been, and I always say this because I feel like sometimes business ownership can be lonely. And I always say it's generally only lonely if you're not bringing people with you. But like, when has there been a time like sort of recently you've kind of felt like, wow, like this has been the most challenging thing? Because it's not like you can go and just tell your staff everything. Not that we're not trying to be transparent, but like I sometimes sit in my car and I'm like, wow, like I have myself to talk to, or I can reach out to other business owners. So like, what's something like recently that you kind of were like, wow, like this has like been really challenging and I'm kind of like in this alone in a sense, you know?
Yeah, you know, I try to be as transparent with my staff as possible, especially with someone like Josh Ryan or someone who I know wants to at some point run and manage their own shop. But especially when it comes to money, it's a very awkward thing that I don't really want my staff to know. But that being said, QuickBooks had made a big whoopsie. It happened to a bunch of small businesses statewide in New York State where they double dipped. And took out $19,000 out of our account like that 2 days before I had to do payroll.
Wow.
So I'm scrambling and I don't want the staff to realize, because I'm a stickler about a lot of things, but one thing that Mari de Monte always does,
non-negotiable.
I keep my fucking promises and I make sure people are paid. I'm not here for like handouts. I'm not trying to like whatever. So my staff works so hard, they deserve to get paid. And I'm very strict on that. Oh, Allie.
It's okay, we're leaving this in as a blooper. It's okay.
So it was like $19K they just took out of our account. I'm like scrambling because I want to make sure everyone's still paid on time. While this is happening, they just put a freeze on our PayPal account, or not PayPal, our QuickBooks payroll account. So this time around, 2 weeks later, it's like, I'm waiting for the state to send me a $19,000 check back because they owe us that money back. I'm trying to call the state and get fighting with some guy named George on the phone who's just like the middleman. And I'm trying to do all of this in a small office without my staff or the clients hearing about it. And I had a meeting with my content, the kid who does my content with me. He's like this 22-year-old kid in Pakistan. And we were talking about some editing stuff.
Edits?
Yeah, he does my edits. And he was like, I need you to film this, this, and this, and we need to do a script for this. And something happened and I just lost it. And then I'm like crying on the Zoom call. This poor 22-year-old kid is like,
are you okay?
Yeah, because it is this sudden, I don't want my staff to know that the one thing that's the most important to me is that they're getting paid. In New York City, when bills still come.
Dude, I know.
And then I'm also like, while that's happening, there's still a laundry pile list of things that you still need to do. You still need to do content. You still need to take care of your own clients. You still need to make sure everyone is happy. You still need to open and close and fold towels and, all that stuff. And my husband is always the one that has to like pick up the pieces, but that was the one moment where I was, for a split second, I was like, I don't know if I'm cut up for this.
Right.
And then you wake up the next day and then you do it again.
I feel like sometimes people look at me that way and they don't realize that I'm also a human and I have these issues as well. And some days, you have those sleepless nights, you're staring at the ceiling, you're driving to work, you're sitting on the train and you're like, holy shit, like you got to go in, you have to put the face on for everybody. You can't bring baggage to work.
Yeah.
Because they're relying on you,
yeah.
And that's a lot of pressure, So let me ask you this final question.
Sure.
What would you say and what advice would you give to, and I really mean this when I say it, a lot of females coming into this industry who want to be stylists, barbers, or owners, like what would you say to them right now? And I hope that people see this because I think that we need more advocates on your side, to be honest with you.
This is a little controversial, and this is something that I've dealt with when I've been a barber for 21 years. And when Instagram first came out, everyone was like, well, don't call yourself a female barber. Just call yourself a barber. Have that difference of your gender and your status. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Like there shouldn't be a difference, right? They don't say like whatever. And now in hindsight, I'm like, no, fuck that. I am a female barber because
I like that.
Standing true to who you are, like saying I'm a female barber, automatically you're going to assume that things are slightly different. My education process is slightly different. I've dealt with experiences a little bit different, barber expos, dealing with men who don't really understand why I'm there, especially a straight middle class white lady.
For sure.
I think that owning that a little bit, I'm not saying like girl boss bullshit, but I'm just saying having that experience and not trying to hide from it and not trying to mold yourself into the barber scene or the entrepreneur scene because it is a more masculine environment and trying to fold in and being like one of the guys. I think it's really important that, yeah, you did have to like punch a little bit harder. You did have to like try to take an extra step or two or make a little bit more of an effort. And I think that's important to showcase that and respect that.
I think it's cool because I think you've been a good voice. I love watching your socials. I feel like you are very well spoken. And I think sometimes we lose some professionalism on Instagram as well. And I think you've been a really good advocate for female barbers.
That means a lot coming from you because you've been such a big inspiration for me and my entire staff for years.
Thanks. Well, I cannot wait to come back to New York. Thank you for coming on.
I really
and
appreciate it.
having a quick chat with me. And can I give you a hug?
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
Let's get some beers.
You heard it here first. This was the OA. Please follow, click, and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Awesome.
That was great.
Awesome.
Mr. Josh Ryan just getting blown off.
I know.
He's gonna owe us for that.